Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Is Keto Right for You? I am Tamara, aka Coach Tam Jackson, and it's my pleasure to walk you through the Keto Challenge tonight. My goal will be to answer the questions that have been on your mind in this session. So let me go ahead and set this up while I allow some time for others to join. This can be an interactive session. Of course, I'm going to be sharing a lot with you, but the beauty of technology is that you can also communicate with me. So feel free at any point during the presentation tonight to leverage the comment section right below this presentation. I will be able to see those comments. Bear with me because, of course, I will be presenting. So it may take me a second to notice your comment, to read it, and be able to answer your question. But it is my goal to do my best to keep up both with what I have to share and also hearing what's on your mind and on your heart. So please do feel free to leverage the comments, either to comment on something that I say or to ask a question at any point as we go through this tonight. I'm really excited to talk about this topic, and I'll get into why a little bit more once we get to that 9 o'clock hour. But this is an exciting time. There's been a lot of talk about the keto diet. I've been getting questions from my clients and also from those that are thinking about getting started with a lifestyle change and wonder if keto can be the answer for them. So I decided to put together this talk tonight because keto is a bit different from some of the other diets out there. And it's really, really important to me that I do a good job. I see that as that being my job as a transformation coach, is to make sure that I educate you and that I help you come to the best decision for you. So it's my goal tonight that by the time we get through everything that we have to share, you have a pretty good idea as to whether or not keto is right for you or if it might be better to consider another path. And here's what I want you to know. Either way, it's going to be okay because we've got you covered at 265 Point. We've got you covered regardless of what your decision is. But it's important. And that's why I decided to do this presentation tonight in the I Choose group. It's important that you are able to make an informed decision. As I think back over the conversations that I've had over the years, over the last 5 years that we've been helping people transform their lives, a lot of times there's a ton of misinformation out there in terms of what it takes to get started, and then most importantly, from my point of view, what it takes to sustain it. And so I really want to make sure tonight that I do a good job of setting the stage in terms of what you can expect with this or any other diet or program that you want to use to transform your life. There are some critical pieces that I want you to think about before you get started. Because if we do that, family, then we will be set up for success, not just for the short term, but for what you really want, which is lasting change. Well, it looks like it's officially 9 o'clock, and I want to go ahead and get started. I want to respect your time. For those of you that are on the East Coast, I know I have some folks that are also on the West Coast and abroad as well. So it's a different time zone for you. But for those of us that are on the East Coast, it's starting to get late. And so let's go ahead and jump on in. I know that some of the people that are on tonight, this is actually the first opportunity that I have had to talk to you, to get to know you. So let me take a second and introduce myself. Again, it's Tamara, but most of my clients call me Coach Tam. I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia, but now a proud resident of Charlotte, North Carolina, aka the Queen City. And I am certified through the American College of Sports Medicine, as well as the American Council on Exercise. And it's my goal tonight to help you answer the question that has been on your mind. Is the ketogenic diet right for you? I believe that you are here because you have a desire for change. And that's critical, because without desire, our lives can't be transformed. It's also important, though, that as I shared with a few of you that were on a little bit before we started, that you make an informed decision. So I want to help you do that tonight. So in just a bit, I'll talk about who this session is for to make sure that you are in the right place, because I don't want to waste your time. So I'll talk about who this session is for. I will also talk about keto and how it works. Why is it that you have seen, I know that you have seen them because I have seen them. Why is it that you have seen all these Facebook posts and all these things where people are on the keto diet? They look amazing in their after photos. What is the secret to their success? I want to talk about that tonight. And I also want to make sure that I help you make a good decision. So ideally, what I want to do is help you go through your own self-assessment process. I'm going to walk you through that because I believe that that's my job as the expert. Hello, Robin, to help you get through that process and be able to make an informed decision. And then if you go through that self-assessment process with me and you decide, I don't know, Coach Tam, keto is not for me, but you still have a desire to make change, we'll talk about Plan B. And in this instance, Plan B is still a really great option, okay? It looks a little bit different, but you can still get amazing results. So we'll talk about that. And then, of course, we'll go through what are your next steps, whether you decide to do keto, decide to do something else, or maybe you want to talk through what your best options are. Then we'll talk about how you can do that, all right? So let's first set the stage on who tonight's conversation is for. Well, kind of as I've alluded to up until this point, it's definitely for those of you that have been thinking about trying the keto diet, but had some questions in your mind about whether or not it would really work for you. But it's also for people that I encounter a lot in my travels, people that have tried a number of things, but just haven't seemed to find that thing that they are able to stick to. And so you may now be in a place where you still have a desire for a change, but you want to make sure that the next thing that you choose to do is actually going to last, not just get results in the short term, but actually give you the long-term results that you're looking for. It's also for that person. I could identify with this for many years of my life where, maybe you were excited. Yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change my life. This is going to happen. I'm going to lose this weight. This is going to be my year. But then life happened and the motivation that you had at the beginning of the journey seemed to fade. And you find yourself in a place where motivation seems to come and go. It's not that you have changed your mind about wanting to change, but you really, really struggle with maintaining the focus that's necessary to change in the midst of all of life's distractions. I also know that there are some people out there that are really just confused about where to start, whether it's with the keto diet or any other diet. I get that question a lot. I mean, I know that I want to get healthy. I know that I want to get in shape. I know I want to get off of this blood pressure medicine or this diabetes medication, but I'm not exactly sure where to start. And a lot of times we hear, eat less, move more, but I think we've all realized by now that it's a little more complicated than that. And there's so much information out there, whether it be on Facebook or on Instagram or just doing a Google search. If you were to put in your Google search engine right now, diet, you would be amazed at how many different options, how many different plans would be out there. So sometimes it's crazy. We are in a time where we have more things than ever at our disposal. And sometimes that can be paralyzing because it's almost information overload to the point of, gosh, how do I know what's right? How do I know where to start? And then I also believe that there are some folks out there that are really at a point where they're tired of the off and on. I'm tired of the merry-go-round, and I'm tired of starting and stopping and starting and stopping. I really want to be able to get this down. And I want to be able to do it in a way that it becomes a lifestyle for me. It becomes a part of who I am, and I don't feel like I'm on this super restrictive diet that I know in my heart of hearts, way down deep, that I can't stick to. So if you can see yourself in any of these descriptions, you are in the right place, because regardless of whether keto is your decision, what I know about you is that you're here because you have a desire for change. And so we're going to walk through tonight not only how keto works, but how does the process of change work? How do you get to the point that you are able to stick to it? How do you maintain your motivation in the midst of life's distractions? Where is it that you need to really focus your attention? Where do you need to start? And how does this become a true lifestyle change? And I want you to know that I get all of those things that we just talked about because I've been there. I've had to live out all of those frustrations and all of those battles. And I think what really inspired me to want to have this conversation tonight is just going back in my mind to what it was like when I first started. And when I say first started, those of you that know my story know that the last attempt, which was successful, was one of many attempts. So I don't want to paint the picture that I woke up one day inspired and lost 100 pounds, because that's certainly not how it all played out. But I remember the time where I was really in connection with my why. I knew that I had to make a change because I was in the midst of a health crisis, and I had to make a change if I wanted to avoid going down a very dangerous path that many of my family members were on. And I didn't want that to be my story. And I remember literally coming home from the doctor's office and knowing that I needed to do something, knowing that I needed to change, but having no idea where to start. My doctor definitely drove home the message that I needed to lose weight, I needed to get in shape, I needed to reduce my stress levels, all of that good stuff. But it just didn't help me figure out how to do any of that. And I can remember coming home, and I can remember literally, no joke, praying, God, you have to help me figure this out, because I know that I have tried this so many times before, and I always seem to end up back in the same place. And it's crazy because my prayer was not immediately answered. It wasn't answered in that moment, but eventually I got my answer. And so I believe that there are some of you out there that have actually been praying for an answer. God, help me to figure out what is the next step that I need to take. I know that where I am is not where I want to be, but help me to get from point A to point B. And many times when we're in that space, family, and we're looking for answers, we're praying for answers, we're talking to our friends and our families, whatever is the latest and greatest, the thing that is on everybody's mind, is what tends to come up in the conversation. So we tend to hear about all these different diets like keto. But here's what I want you to know, is that although I've had to deal with that struggle, I had to wrestle with that question about what is my best next step, the great news is that eventually I did figure it out. Eventually, through his help, I was able to figure it out. And so in October, I'll celebrate 10 years of keeping 100 pounds off. But not only that, I've been able to identify the success secrets that are needed to cause transformation in other people. So I don't just know how to fix it for me, but if you allow me to, what I want to do tonight is take you on a journey that allows you to fix it for you so that you can see the types of transformations that you see on your screen right now. These are amazing women and they are exceptional in their own right, but you are just as capable of achieving transformation as each one of these women. And I'm going to show you the process that we used to create this transformation. And then, of course, I'm going to give you a choice. I'm going to give you a choice of whether or not you feel like you have what you need based on our discussion tonight to cause transformation on your own, or if you like a little support, if you like a little help to get there. You know, there's so much buzz about keto. I hear about it everywhere I go, and I won't deny it. There are tons of benefits to the keto diet. As a matter of fact, I was reading just the other day, because continuing education is really, really important to me. I was reading how people are seeing that keto has had a positive impact in some instances on blood sugar levels, that it has the ability to decrease blood pressure levels, which is something that's really, really prevalent in our society right now. And we know the connection between blood pressure and heart disease, the #1 killer in the United States. And even that there may be some connection to following a ketogenic diet and seeing things turn around even with conditions like epilepsy and Parkinson's disease. So it's amazing some of the things that we have seen when people make a decision to follow the keto diet. But there's always, every time keto comes up in the conversation, there's also a lot of questions. And I realize that there's tons of information out there. So I want to make sure that I'm answering your questions tonight. I hope that I've covered most of them. But again, if I don't get to a question that you have, feel free to leverage the comments. And I will make sure that I answer that for you. And here's the other thing. I will tell you, if I don't know the answer to your question, I'm not afraid to say that I don't know everything, but I'm happy to go and research it, because I also know in my experience that sometimes it can be tough to sort through the information. And so the blessing of the training and the expertise I have is to know where to go to find the answers and be able to bring you answers that are credible and not just hype. I'm doing this because I care. You know, when I thought about doing a ketogenic challenge, because I knew there was such interest in it, and I wanted to make sure that if people did keto, that they did it right, because doing it wrong can be dangerous. I want you to hear me say that. You know, it would have been easy to just say, hey, we're doing a keto challenge. Here's the link to sign up. You guys, you know, go pay your money and that's it. But that's not what we're about. You know, we are really here because we want to see those that we work with be successful. And it would break my heart, literally, to have you guys make a decision to do the keto diet and then get in it and find out, oh my God, this is nothing like what I expected. I don't know if I don't think that this is right for me. And then the reason that that's so important is I know the downside to dieting. I mean, you know, a lot of times what we see, especially in this world of social media, we see the hype about the positive side of it, right? Of, you know, all of these before and after photos, people have lost all this amazing weight, their life is awesome, they're now traveling, they got married, whatever the story is, right? We see the positive side of making that decision, but there's also a downside. There's a downside when things don't turn out the way we planned. And as one of my clients, she gave me this term. I was like, wow, I've got to use that, because I think it does such a great job of depicting the challenge with making a change. She called it the cycle of returns. And this visual, if you're checking out your screen, I think does a good job of explaining the process that I went through so many times before I finally was able, with his help, to get it right. You know, you make a decision, I want to lose weight, or maybe your goal is not to lose weight. I want to get healthy, or I want to get off of this medication, because everyone that has a health crisis, that has a health challenge, isn't overweight. But there's something about your situation that you've decided that you want to change. And so you make that decision. You find whatever you believe it is that's going to help you get out of that situation, whatever it is that maybe your friends are doing, what you're seeing on social media, et cetera. You make a decision, hey, this is the diet, this is the program that I am going to use. And invariably, in most instances, when I talk to people, when I have my consultations with them and I ask them about their journey, they've lost some weight on these diets. It's not like it was a complete bust and there was no success to be obtained from it. In most instances, there were. People have lost 10, 20, 30, sometimes even 50 or 75 pounds on that diet. But the common thread is that after that initial success, the struggle kicks in. The struggle kicks in. Either the person, the way they describe it to me is they lose their motivation, or some type of interruption comes up in their life and they no longer have the time and the energy to dedicate to it. And slowly but surely, they start to gain the weight back. And then it just becomes this perpetual cycle of deciding to lose weight, finding a new diet, losing some weight, hitting a speed bump, and gaining the weight back. I don't want that to be your story. For anyone that is here tonight to learn more, I don't want keto to be the latest, greatest thing that gets caught up in this cycle of returns. My goal, my prayer for you is that we are able to partner together and find the thing that's going to work. And for some of you, that answer will be the ketogenic diet. And for others, it may be something else. That's the cycle that we've taken a look at is completely and totally avoidable. We do not have to keep repeating the cycle of starting and stopping and starting and stopping. It is possible to get to a place where you are not only able to achieve success, but to sustain success. And that's what I want to talk you through tonight. But before I get there, I want to explain at a high level how the ketogenic diet works, because one of the things that has come up in the conversations that I've had is, you may have seen, those before and after photos. You may have seen a few recipes here and there, but there's often a lot of confusion about how the ketogenic diet works. And so let's talk about it. I don't want to get too deep into it, because sometimes you get into all the scientific talk and it can be information overload. So let's keep it simple, shall we? The secret to success behind the ketogenic diet is that it keeps carbohydrates to a bare minimum. Okay, so there are really three main groups. There are proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. So the secret to success for the ketogenic diet is that of those three main groups, carbohydrates are the lowest in percentage. And I'll talk to you about the specifics of what that looks like. So once you become what we would call keto adapted, once you go through a process to get to a stage called ketosis, your body starts to burn fat as fuel. Now, even just saying that, you're probably like, yes, that's awesome, because I want to burn fat because that's going to help me to lose weight. But what you need to know about every other diet outside of keto, and Atkins, if you've ever done Atkins, is in a similar group, is that the body's primary source of fuel normally is carbohydrates. And in the American diet, what that often means is sugar. Okay. All right. So that's how it works on a standard American diet. But once you follow this keto plan, which we'll talk about what that looks like, everything shifts. Less carbs are taken in on a daily basis. It forces your body to burn fat as fuel. And as a result of that, you tend to drop weight really fast. And you've probably seen it in the pictures on social media, because often what people do is they talk about how much weight they've lost, and they talk about how long it's taken them to do it, right? And the part of us that would like to see success as quickly as possible is immediately attracted to that type of story. And I'm here to say it's real. You know, when you follow a ketogenic diet, you are going to see weight drop fast. And part of it is, of course, what I just said about how just getting to that keto adapted state forces your body to burn fat as fuel. But also through my studies and understanding the science, whenever you reduce your carbohydrate intake, your body releases water. So if you've been carrying around excess water in your body, this ketosis is gonna kick that out, right? So following this ketogenic diet helps you to burn more fat, also helps you to release excess water. And as I said earlier, people are following this diet as a lifestyle, and they are seeing amazing benefits. You know, some people are seeing, like I said, the blood pressure levels are coming down. That's reducing their risk of heart disease. There are some that have type 2 diabetes that are seeing their blood sugar levels stabilize, which is a major, major concern for my clients that are diabetics. So there's tons and tons of benefits to this ketogenic diet. I won't deny it. The question is, though, will it work for you? Will it work for you is the question that you have to answer, because the bottom line, family, is any diet works if you work it. Any diet works if you work it. So the question is keto a diet that you can see yourself sticking to? Now, on your screen, you're going to see some of the foods that you may enjoy on the keto diet, like nuts and even some things that we don't typically see in a diet, things like bacon and butter, and one of my favorites, cheese, and even beef. Some cuts of beef you can enjoy under the keto diet. But family, will it work for you is a much deeper question. I say that because I've had the pleasure of working with people not only in Charlotte, but across the United States and abroad. And there is a consistent thread. It's that thing we talked about earlier. It's, I have a problem, I'm looking for a solution, and typically the tendency is, let me jump right in. I found what I believe the diet is. Let me jump right in. I'm going to follow this diet, and my life is going to be transformed. But the reality is that it takes more than that. It takes more than that. So I want to talk about the other pieces of the puzzle that go beyond just finding a diet that sounds attractive. All right. So this is why this is important. Right now, around the United States, it's estimated that 108 million people are on a diet. That's about 1/3 of the US population and 50% of adults. Those numbers are staggering. The research tells us that the typical American dieter makes four weight loss attempts per year. But within 2 weeks, a quarter of them stop. 25% of those that have started stop that new lifestyle decision that they've made. Within 3 weeks, a third, 33% of the people have stopped. And within a month, family, nearly a half of those people have said, I can't do this, I'm out of here. And I firmly believe, again, it is not because I changed my mind about wanting to change. It's not that. It's because the individual only had pieces of the puzzle. They may have had the desire. They may have even had a plan. They may have even had a meal plan to follow, but there are more pieces to the puzzle. And the truth is that keto is only right for you if you can make it a lifestyle, not a temporary decision, right? Because we all know what happens when we follow something as, a quick fix. Then once we stop following the diet, then the weight returns. So keto is only good long-term if you can truly make it a lifestyle. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, although these are the number one reasons that I hear for why it hasn't worked in the past, I'm here to tell you that the root reason is much deeper. Okay, so the number one and number two answers that I hear all the time is, I lost my motivation for it, or I just didn't have the time to keep up with it. Life got in the way, and so it fell by the wayside. Okay. But what I want to talk about tonight is it's going to take more than that. So we're going to go through the process and help you understand what the root reasons of why it hasn't worked in the past are and how you can fix them. All right. Lastly, to be successful with keto or any other diet, you can insert the name of any diet that you want to follow. You have to have a process for managing your transformation. I'm going to say it again. You have to have a process for managing your transformation, because family change is a process. I don't think we talk about that enough. It is not as simple as making a decision that I want to change, getting a tool, and then changing. Transformation, change is a process. And so just like other areas of our life, when we make a decision that we want to change careers, or that we want to improve our relationship with God, or we're single and we've made a decision that we desire to be married. All of those things are changes. And it takes more than just desiring to see the change. There has to be a process for not only starting the change, but managing the change as you go through it. And so I want to make sure that when you leave this call tonight, that you have a clear understanding of what that looks like. So let's talk about the keto self-assessment. Now, before I get into that, it looks like I've got some comments. So let's see what comments I might have. I want to make sure. Ooh, my phone is making some noise here, so forgive me. Want to see if I've got, okay, just some folks saying, okay, they're good. All right, I see you out there, Jolynn, Antoinette, Rosalind, Annette. Awesome. I'm glad that you guys are here. I hope that you are finding this helpful. I'll try to keep up with the comments the best that I can as we move through this. But let's talk about this self-assessment. The way that I like to think of this, family, I like to keep things simple. I really like to keep things simple because sometimes I think we make things too complicated. I want to talk about the keto self-assessment in terms of 4 E's. 4 E's. So there are 4 things that I want to talk about that start with the letter E that are critical, again, to answer the question as to whether keto is right for you or any other diet plan is right for you. So let's talk about them. The first one is E, evaluate. Evaluate. I saw this quote. It said, the first step to personal growth is the ability to make an honest assessment of where you currently are. And I will tell you, for the years that I've been helping and coaching people, I think this step is so important, but often overlooked. Often overlooked. You know, it's jumping right into whatever it is, but not taking the time to really assess, how does this thing that I'm starting work, and how does it compare to what I'm currently doing? Because I need to understand, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation tonight. I need to understand what the gap is. How big is the gap between what I am signing up for and what I'm currently doing? And if there is a significant gap, then I have to ask myself the question, am I willing to make the adjustments? Let me talk about why that is so important for keto, because again, as I shared with you, it's unlike anything that most of us have done. If you've done Atkins, that's probably the closest that I can think of to the ketogenic diet, but it's a very big shift from how we normally eat. All right. So with the ketogenic diet, instead of, with most of the other plans that we offer, it's typically low fat, higher protein, and moderate carbs. But with the keto diet, everything is flipped. So I know that this might sound crazy, but the highest of the three is fat on the ketogenic diet. Behind that is protein. It's moderate at about 25%, which isn't too far off of our typical diet. But here's where the big change is. So what's happened with the ketogenic diet is, because most of the emphasis is placed on fat, carbohydrates have been reduced significantly. And I could have said low, but to be truthful, it's very low. It's very low, okay? And here's why that's important for you to understand before you make a decision to do a ketogenic diet. In American culture, a large portion of our diet is comprised of carbohydrates. And I'm not just talking about, so let's just talk for a little bit about carbohydrates, because there's a lot of even misconceptions about this. I'm not just talking about things like potato chips and French fries and cakes and all that stuff, all these things that we know are junk food that really, you know, if we were honest deep down, we know it's probably not really a part of a healthy diet. But I'm talking about those other carbs too. So a lot of people don't realize it, because carbs are kind of thrown into this one big basket, right? But fruits and vegetables are also carbs, all right? So that means that if you make a decision to do the ketogenic diet, not only are you reducing the other carbs that we typically think about, but you're also reducing your intake of especially starchy vegetables and fruit, okay? So since carb is the lowest bucket, it's very, very minimal, my apologies, carbohydrate intake. So remember earlier, all the cool stuff, so I get to have bacon, I get to have butter, I get to have cheese. But on most ketogenic diets, the list of vegetables is streamlined, right? Because we've got to keep that carbohydrate intake low, and it has to meet certain guidelines. And when we talk about fruit, we're mostly talking about berries. So if you have an attachment, if you have a desire, a love for all kinds of fruits and vegetables, that's going to be a trade-off with the ketogenic diet. All right. So you've really got to think about, where am I currently? What is the makeup of my meals and my intake look like today? And am I willing to make the shift to make the keto diet work? Because I want to say it again, just to make sure I'm clear, you can get amazing results on the front end with the ketogenic diet. Say, for example, you said, yes, Coach Tam, I want to do the 21-day challenge. You get amazing results. You feel good. You look good. But in order to maintain those results, you need to stick with this approach long term. Okay, so I want you to think about, is this something that would work for me? The second E is equip. Lyndon Johnson said, we must open the doors of opportunity, but we must also equip our people to walk through those doors. So you also have to have not only a desire to lose weight and get in shape, you have to be willing to make the trade-offs, because there are going to be some things that you're not able to eat or not able to eat as often. But you also have to understand how all of this works. So since keto is so different, you need to understand the science of how to even get into ketosis and how to get keto adapted. That's going to require having the meal plans and the recipes that ensure you get the proper ratios, right? Because the truth is, just like I shared with you earlier, the way we eat today, even when we're off, doesn't fit that 65-25-15 ratio. So you have to understand how to now put together a meal that meets those requirements and do that consistently. You also are going to need to know how to manage keto on the go, well, when you're not at home, because sometimes you will not be able to, although with the 21-day challenge, we'd be focusing, of course, on preparing our meals as much as possible at home, because that's going to give us the best results. But the reality is that sometimes that's not going to be possible. Sometimes you're going to be traveling, you're going to be on vacation, you're going to be on business travel, you're going to be in a conference. You need to know how to make keto work for you in those situations as well, so that you can maintain your results. And because it is such a different diet than what we typically follow, it's also going to be important that you have a credible place to go when you have questions. So when you're not really sure, can I eat this or can I eat that? You need to have the tools and the resources, and sometimes those tools and resources are technology or websites, and sometimes it's a person, right? But you need to have a credible place to go to have your questions answered so that you make sure that this decision that you've made to try to get healthier actually results in a healthy outcome. All right? Because like I said earlier, it is possible to do keto wrong, right? And you want to make sure that the decision that you made initially out of a desire to improve your health truly has that outcome. So you've got to understand the science or work with someone that does. You need to know how to put together meals that meet those ratios so that you can actually get the result. And you have to know how to make this work for your lifestyle. You need to be able to do it even when you're not at home. Even when you're 500 miles away on vacation, you still have to know how keto works. The third E, my apologies, is establish. And this is the number one that I see that gets people off track. And this is true regardless of whether we're talking about keto or any other diet. Any other diet. It doesn't matter what diet we're talking about. It can even be an exercise routine that we're talking about. We want to just get in shape. Maybe our diet is great, but we need to work on exercise. The same thing must be solved, family. Prina said it well. She said routines and schedules are what will prevent you from getting burnt out, overwhelmed, and exhausted. And as I say that, I know that there are probably people out there thinking, oh, no, not a routine, not a schedule. But family, as much as we sometimes resist having structure, that would be the word that I would use to describe this. As much as we resist having structure actually makes things easier because then everything has a place. And when everything has a place, everything has a time, when we know how things are going to come together, it actually reduces the stress. Now, I will acknowledge that sometimes in the process of establishing a routine, there is stress on the front end because it's new. Because maybe we do a really good job of having a calendar for our priorities at work. And maybe we do a really good job of managing our ministry and our community commitments. But most of us don't have a plan for managing the details of our personal life. But just think about for a second what that ends up doing. I see it all the time. People are excited. They want to make a change. They want to do it. But then this meeting and that meeting pops up. Or I forgot about that I have this trip over here. Or, oh my gosh, I've got this project at work. I've got these major deadlines. I've got to meet it, so I can't come to class, or I can't come to the coaching session, or whatever it is, right? And those are real things. Those things aren't going to go away. And that's why it's so important to have routines, because your life will constantly be evolving. There will always be distractions. There will always be interruptions. And so the only way to not only achieve the goal in the short term, but to sustain the result is you have to have routines. There has to be a process by where you figure out how you are going to get all of these things accomplished in addition, these new healthy lifestyle things, in addition to the other things that you need to do for your life. There has to be a meal prep routine. If there's no meal prep routine, we're going to be tempted, because we're just people, we're going to be tempted to grab stuff that doesn't align with our plan. And because it doesn't align with our plan, then it takes us off track for reaching our goals. All right. And even though most of the time, you want you to hear me say this, most of the time when people talk about the ketogenic diet, they don't talk a lot about exercise. But let me tell you that exercise still matters for long-term success with keto. So you need a routine. You need to know when you're going to work out, what days you're going to work out, what type of workout you're going to do for long-term success. And also remember that this isn't just about weight loss or about health in the short term, but it's also about our health and our fitness level as we age. And as we age, fitness becomes very, very important. Things like osteoporosis are impacted by our fitness level. How strong our bones are is a result of how we train or don't train. So we also need an exercise routine. These last two are the ones that I often see are missing. Even if a person does have a meal prep routine and they have an exercise routine, the last two, I rarely encounter a person that has these two things when they come and talk to us, okay? You also need a mindset management routine. Why is that important, Coach Tam? Because the reality is that there are going to be times, whether it's the keto diet or any other diet, that is going to get tough. It's going to happen. And you're going to be struggling mentally to stick to it. And so when those moments come, there has to be two things. Number one, there needed to have been, to give you the best chance of getting out of that tough spot mentally as quickly as possible, there needed to be some proactive work. So when you're not struggling, you need to be getting something into your mind, into your spirit that helps you to stay focused and stay positive, okay? But then when the rough patch hits, you also need a routine for shifting your mindset so that you don't stay in that place. So for those of you that are sports fans, I think of it like football. You need offense and you need defense in order to make it work, because the reality is those rough spots are going to happen. And so we cannot go into it with rose-colored glasses thinking that everything is going to be perfect. We're going to start the diet. Everything's going to be smooth sailing. I'm going to lose X pounds, or I'm going to get off my medication and everything's going to be great. Because even if that does happen, family, in the short term, as life goes on, interruptions and distractions happen. And then the last piece of it is an accountability routine, because we are human. There are going to be times where we want to quit, where we want to throw in the towel. This is too much. I've got a lot going on. Maybe I'll start again next month. We've all done it. But if we have someone that we are accountable to while we're going through that process, we tend to do better. Because we don't like to have to tell folks that we didn't do it, right? I mean, if you think about it just for a second, right? Think about it just for a second. You don't always want to go to work. You don't always want to go to work. There are some days that you wake up and you think, oh, I could stay home today. I could stay home today. And maybe even sometimes you do. Maybe you take a personal health day and you decide, you know what? I need a sanity break. I'm going to call out. But there's a limit to that. You're only going to do that so many times, no matter how bad you feel and how demotivated you are or that you feel, right? What's the reason for that? The reason for that is, you know, in your heart of hearts, if you don't go to work enough times, that you will no longer have that job. And that's not even the biggest thing. If you no longer have that job, here's where the rubber hits the road, that you no longer have the income. And if you no longer have the income, you don't have a way to sustain your current lifestyle. So even though you don't feel like going, you muster up the strength, you get in that shower, you change your clothes, and you get to work. You may not feel like being there, but you show up. Why? Because there's accountability. You know in your heart of hearts, if you don't show up, your income is gone. But most of us don't have someone standing over our shoulder to hold us accountable for whether or not we've stuck to our eating plan or our exercise plan. And because that accountability is not there, when we hit those rough patches, it's easy for us to quit. So let me recap real quick. I need to evaluate where I am and where the gap is between what I'm signing up for and what I'm thinking about signing up for and where I am, okay? I need to do that. I also need to make sure that I'm equipped. I need to have the resources that are going to help me to be successful, whether that is tools, technology, or people resources. And I've got to have, this is really, really important. I want you to hear this, regardless of whether you decide to do keto, and even regardless of whether you decide to work with us or not, you need routines. You need to get to the point, here's my favorite example, you need to get to the point through routines where healthy eating and exercise is as automatic as brushing your teeth. Think about it. You don't plan to brush it. You just every single day you get up. There are things that you do every single day. You get up, you take a shower, you brush your teeth. You don't think about it. Nobody has to beg you to do it. Even if terrible things happen, even if you lose loved ones, even if you take a trip across the world, you always brush your teeth. And that came about through the power of routine. Someone showed you how to brush your teeth. They made sure you did brush your teeth. At least my mom did. She would check behind me. Did you brush? Let me see. Did you brush your teeth? If you didn't do it, go back in there, brush your teeth. And through that process, you eventually got to the point where brushing your teeth became automatic. And it's possible to get to that same place with your eating and your exercise, but you need routines to get there. Last piece, execute. I can do all the planning in the world. I can have my ideas on what I'm going to do for routines, but at the end of the day, I still have to execute. I saw this quote and I thought it was really profound. It said, you don't decide your future, you decide your habits, and your habits decide your future. Let that sink in. You don't decide your future, you decide your habits, and your habits decide your future. So really what we are in the process of doing, whether it's with the keto diet or any other diet, is we're making a decision to change our habits. We're working to create habits that align with the body and the life that we want. So after we've evaluated, after we've gotten equipped and we know what our routines need to be, we have to go out there and execute consistently. But not only that, even after you execute, you're going to have to periodically go back and evaluate how it's working. That's often a step that's missing too. I need to see, is this really working for me? And if it's not, what changes do I need to make? Do I need new tools? Do I need to be equipped differently to handle what is now going on in my life that wasn't going on before? And even after I have good routines, I can experience interruptions. I could have a change in my job assignment. I could move to a different city. I could go on a vacation. Something as simple as going on a vacation can be an interruption. And when we get off track, we need the skills to get back on track, right? So the bottom line, whether I'm doing keto or any other diet, is health and weight is not something that I just focus on as a one-time thing. It's not a set it and forget it thing. It is something that must be managed. And that's why you see this little visual on your screen, that it's not just a 1, 2, 3, 4, evaluate, equip, establish, execute, and boom, I'm done. This is a continuous process of evaluating, equipping, establishing, and executing. Evaluating, equipping, establishing, and executing. And it is because it often doesn't look like this, it's not a continuous process, that we lose weight in the short term, but are not able to maintain it. Because life changes, life evolves, and in order to be successful, we have to be able to evolve with it. So I've spent some time talking about what it takes to be successful with keto. And I've even gone beyond that to talk about what it takes to be successful with any diet. Because my goal for this conversation tonight was that it wasn't just about keto. I want to make sure that regardless of what it is that you choose to do, that you have the information to be successful. And so now the choice is, are you going to continue the journey, whatever that journey is going to look like for you? Are you going to continue it on your own? Are you going to go the road alone? I was looking at some statistics earlier today, and it's believed that about 80% of dieters go on the road to losing weight, getting in shape, getting healthy on their own. And I'll be honest, I wonder if that is part of what holds people back from getting the result we want. Because when we go the road alone, that means that the only thing that we have at our disposal are the tools and resources that we already have, or the ones that we know how to get. And sometimes we need more than that. Sometimes we need a little expertise, and not just expertise. Sometimes we need some encouragement. We need some support. We need some guidance. So if that's you, there are options. If you decide, you know what, I want to do keto, or I want to do something to get my health in check, but I realize that I need support. So let me talk quickly about what our keto challenge includes. So with our challenge, you're going to get a success manual that helps you understand the science of keto. It's really, really important. We're also going to arm you with dietitian approved meal plans. So I want you to know, this isn't just Coach Tam went out, grabbed some stuff, put it together, and said, here you go. No, we wanted to make sure that we equipped you with the right tools that are going to show you how to do keto successfully and safely. So we've got dietitian approved meal plans. We've got recipe guides so that there's no guesswork. You know exactly how to put together your meals so that it meets the ratio requirements. We're arming you with grocery lists so that literally you print the list, you go to the store, you pick it up, and you're done. And we also support you with the mindset piece of it, because we know how critical it is to be able to maintain your focus. You'll have a group of people around you that are also working towards the same goal. And of course, you have me there to lead and to guide you as you go through this transformation process. And if keto isn't right for you, so maybe you've been sitting there, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do that 65, 25, 15. If that's the case, that's okay. Because we have another plan that's very similar, also 21 days, allows you to get great results, has the same dietitian, not the same plans, but also has dietitian approved meal plans. All of the same things that are included in our keto challenge are also included in our Detox Your Diet challenge. So if keto isn't right for you, you can still get started. You can still experience amazing results. So your best next steps, there are two ways that you can proceed with us. And I realize that there's also another door for you to decide to go on your own. And if that's your decision, I support you, and I pray that all goes well. If you are a person that says, I know I need to do something, but I need some help, there are two paths for you. If you're ready, you can make the decision to enroll in our challenge by July 31st and save some money. We'll also throw in our 7-day shift program that really looks at life overall and helps you develop some of those routines that we talked about. We'll throw that in for free. And if you decide to stay with us after the 21 days, we'll give you 50% off of your first month in our continuation plan. But I also realized that although I've shared a lot tonight, that there may be some of you out there that are thinking, I'm not 100% sure, Coach Tam. I'd really like to talk it out and understand my options. So if that's you, I'd love to schedule a time for us to talk, for us to get to know each other a little bit better, understand what you're looking to do, how the keto challenge may be able to help, or our other plan, if that's better for you. We can discuss the options. And if you decide by July the 31st, you can still get that offer to get the lower price, and that price will apply to either plan that you choose. All right. So either way, you can get that same special offer. It's just a matter of where you are right now. Do you feel like you have enough information to say keto is right for me? And if so, I'll help you get started there. If you want to talk through it, then we'll do that. You know, I love what I do. I love being able to be a part of people's journeys, not just to see the physical transformation take place, but also the spiritual, the mental, the emotional transformation as well. And I'd love to partner with you and help you become your own personal success. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drop in just a minute. I'm going to drop some links in the comments. I'll drop the option 1 link for those of you that are ready to make your decision. I will also drop the option 2 link in the comments for those of you that want to talk it out. And I'll also check out the comments to see if there are any questions that I have not answered. If I can't answer it right away on the spot, I'll be happy to do that. If it's the one that I don't know the answer to, I'll be honest with you and say, hey, I don't know the answer, but I know where to find it. I'll go research it and I'll come back to you. Okay? So, family, I think we have covered everything that I had on the agenda tonight. I hope that you have found this session to be helpful in answering the question, is keto right for you? And hopefully that you've taken away some things that help you overall, not just in terms of evaluating keto as an option for you, but what your best next step may be in your lifestyle change overall. I look forward to the opportunity to work with you either now or in the future. Thank you so much for attending tonight. God bless.